on? I think this is better now. Guys, please tell me you can hear me now. Please tell me you can hear me like this. Can you hear me now? Ah, my God. What is going on? Can you guys hear me now? Oh, yes, you can hear me. Awesome. Great. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm happy you can hear me now. All right. So without much further ado, let's just quickly get into this. All right. This hair is making me hot. This hair is making me sweat. But aside all of that, first of all, apologies for that little break in transmission, but we are not deterred. We're still going to go on with today's conversation. Once again, you are all welcome back to today's YouTube live stream. I am super excited because this is officially the first live stream of 2022. I wish I could just quickly go on to mention everybody's name, as we usually do it on here. But guys, don't worry. We're going to do exactly that before we end today's live stream. But today's live stream is a very, very sensitive conversation, and I crave your indulgence, everybody. I really hope that each and every one of you that's online right now watching this conversation will join us and contribute to the conversation. As you can see from the title and the thumbnail, today's conversation is still on the ongoing case between Dowen College and the late Sylvester Oromoni's family. Guys, a lot has been said, a lot of questions have been asked, and as one who also likes asking questions to get the right information, I thought it better and wise to invite someone, yes, someone of note and a very, very relevant person to engage our thoughts in this particular conversation. The person I'm bringing online to join us in this conversation today is Elijah Victor. He's a graduate of physics from the University of Petroleum Resources, Ifuru, Delta State. He is a trained educator at a prestigious British school in Lagos with Cambridge certification in the 21st century teaching and core skills. He has a diploma in educational psychology from Allison and has participated in several trainings for teachers, which include the Middle Hall Teachers Training Program in 2015, EduCamp 2016, EduCamp 2017, EduCamp 2018, 2019, and 2020. He's a member of the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria and has been teaching for the past 8 years. He is a lover of the art of teaching. Let me quickly add him on to this conversation right now. Okay. Hi, Victor.
Good afternoon, Gloria. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm not going to say anything right now about the reason Victor is smiling. Maybe after the conversation, I will feel, all right? But Victor, you're highly welcome to our FSWG YouTube live stream. It is an honor, it's a pleasure to have you as our first guest for the year 2022, especially on a very, very sensitive conversation like this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, teaching for 8 years. How has it been? And what's the age range of people you teach?
Okay, yes. I have been teaching for the past 8 years. The age range of the pupils that I've been teaching, I have taught in Key Stage 1. And when we say Key Stage 1, we mean years 1 and years 2. Currently I teach in Key Stage 2, year 6. So I have been teaching for the past 8 years now, and so far, I have taught pupils in SS2, pupils in SS3 before in previous schools. So, but currently, I am teaching pupils in year 6. That is, when we say pupils in year 6, they range from age 10 and 11.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, there's something I did not mention. Elijah Victor is also a chess master. So that's something he hides, but when they say someone is a genius, he's a genius. He teaches chess at the school where he's a teacher. He is too humble. He doesn't really like sharing information about his other achievements. But that's by the way. Victor, once again, you're welcome. Now,
Thank you so much.
Moving on quickly to the conversation at hand, the Dowen College story, Sylvester Oromoni's story, God rest his soul, it is no longer news. It's all over social media, it's all over the media. It is a conversation that people are having, will continue having, and God knows when that conversation is going to end. And on this channel, we've actually given focus to what must have happened to Sylvester. But one thing that we could not have really broken down is what Dowen College did wrong, what they could have done better, and what they can still do better in the nearest future and moving forward to avoid any kind of mishap such as this from happening again. So let's start from the top. From the moment the story broke onto the internet, what exactly do you think Dowen College did wrong? Where do you think they went wrong? As a teacher, coming from the perspective of a teacher, where do you think they went wrong?
Okay. First of all, when I heard that story, um, in fact, on that particular day, I was told. On that particular day, my opinion was asked by parents on that particular day, and it came to me as a shock, you know. And I say that because looking at the current development in education and the current policies, surrounding safeguarding children, it came to me as a shock, and there were a lot of questions on my mind, you know, um, when I read the stories, the follow-up stories, and even those that shared, their own stories online about their encounters with bullies at school during their teenage years or thereabout. So when I heard it first, I was shocked, and that's because when you look at some of the policies regarding bullying, regarding child protection, you begin to wonder if there are any child protection policies in place at the school. And when you begin to look at issues surrounding that, then you begin to wonder how those policies were effected. Because I think when I listened to one of the teachers who confessed to have taught there initially, you know, he said that while working there, that the hostels were designed in such a way that um, you have to go upstairs to monitor the children, and before going upstairs, they'll discover that, oh, everything is fine. They will eventually comport themselves and all of that, and later on he will leave them, come downstairs to monitor some other students. I was bothered because one of the things that you need to ask is this, you know, were those children really protected? That's one.
Yes.
Number two, you want to ask yourself, um, because one of the rules, one of the disciplines, or one of the cardinal points of safeguarding children is to provide a safe environment for them. So the question you
Exactly.
want to ask is, was the environment a safe environment? Can we call that environment a safe environment, for the children? And secondly, was there any kind of monitoring in place? Looking at the development in the story, it was alleged that he was beaten up um, by some other students in the school,
Mhm.
and the school eventually came out to say that it was injuries that were sustained from
From
during a
football.
football match. So
Yes.
now the question is this now. Whichever case, whichever one is the case right now. Now the question would be, if the child sustained that injury during a football match, then it would be that it could be, then we can conclude safely that some child protection policies were not followed thoroughly, you know, because one of
Mhm.
the, you see, when it comes to teaching, I'm talking from the perspective of a teacher now.
Mhm.
See, so many things can go wrong, So many things can go wrong in the classroom. And as a result of that, you, as a teacher, you have to be trained, you have to be aware, that children need to be protected. The environment has to be safe. And one of the things that, one of the rules we follow is this: no child must be left unattended to. No child must be left unattended to. Sometimes, one of the, when you, in a classroom, for example, anything can become a weapon in the hands of the child. Anything can become as something as small as a pencil can become a weapon. So as teachers, we have to be very, very careful, when we're dealing with children in the classroom. So coming back to the question, for me, I would say that it came to me as a shock, because if the proper practices were followed, such a case would likely not have happened. In fact, in my school, in fact, the kind of bullying that we're dealing with, of course, we are dealing with all the forms of bullying, forms like physical violence, exploitation, abuse, neglect, emotional abuse, all of that, cyberbullying, and all of that. When it comes to physical bullying, that's not even the major focus, because a lot of the things that have been put in place, we have been firmly established to curb some of these things.
So they rarely happen.
So for me, it came as a shock. You begin to wonder, where the best practices followed. See, where the best practices followed, and in all honesty, if a teacher has to leave children unattended to, in their dormitories, and you're the only one that will have to monitor the dormitories, 3 dormitories for that matter, that is very, very unprofessional from my standpoint as a teacher. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You said quite a lot. Even some of the questions I wanted to ask following up, you've actually answered those questions. Now, the next thing to look at: how do you think Dowen College handled the news when it first broke into the internet? Because there's a lot of things to consider here, right? There are staff in the school that are employees of the school. The school, first of all, of course, is a business. Before we look at it as any other thing, a citadel of morals, a place where people can keep their kids and be rest assured that, oh, I can go about my daily business and my child is safe in this institution. But first of all, it's a business. So the way they handled the entire case, by first coming out to act like nothing actually happened. Do you think that was actually professional? Do you think they were doing that to protect their staff, or what exactly do you think they did? Do you think that was the right approach to the case when it first broke out to the
internet? Okay. Looking at the approach of the school, I wouldn't say that they didn't handle the case properly. And the reason I'm saying that is because perhaps they would have been in touch with their lawyers, and they would have been advised in a certain manner to respond. Okay, but so far, I think people's response to the case, there have been a lot of outcry, a lot of positive reactions from people, from educators around the country. In fact, a lot of schools currently, they are strengthening their anti-bullying policies. In fact, you wouldn't believe what's really going on right now in schools today. In fact, in some schools, if a child is a bully, and I mean a perpetual bully, in some schools, if a particular school have identified a particular child as a perpetual bully, the parents of that child will have to homeschool that child. So when it comes to the school's response to the case, well, I wouldn't want to state categorically if it was professional or not. Perhaps they've gotten um, legal advice concerning how they should respond or how they shouldn't respond. But I hope that they will get to the bottom of the issue and bring all the culprits to book. Yeah.
All right. So I have been following testimonials from different parents
Mm,
online. That was the first week when the news
mm,
broke on the internet. I've been following stories, a
mm,
lot of parents who had complained that even some of their kids who are older now in university, they had gone through the same corridors of being bullied. A lot of them, it was very, very horrendous, but they decided to be quiet about
mm,
it. But now they are coming out to speak because the death of a child is involved, right? So the question to you is, I read out your bio. You have a lot of certification and a lot of training. The question is there
mm,
any special kind of training that schools like Dowen College should actually give to their staff, teachers, inclusive, house masters? Because boarding school, I think there's a bit of a difference from the regular day school. So for a school like Dowen
mhm.
College that operates these two systems, daytime and boarding time, do you think there are specific training that should be given to their staff in general, inclusive of house masters or house mistress? Because from the stories I have heard, which I am not sure about, so I would not call them facts, but from the stories I have heard, you know, it was mentioned that some of the house masters they are so like a desticle in their approach to attending
Mm,
to the students. And it's no surprise to me because there's a culture where people who are not really qualified or certified for certain job roles, they end up being employed, for such job roles. So do you think that there are certain certifications or qualifications that staff that operate in a boarding house or even a day school should possess before working in under such environment?
okay. Yes, definitely. Yes. Like I said earlier, when I heard the kind of practice that was followed, as recalled by that teacher that had worked in the school before, when I heard that kind of practice, I was like, in modern schools of today, you can't find that kind of practice. You know, um, the normal practice in a core British school would be that no child is left unattended to, no child is left behind. See, of course, there are trainings for teachers when it comes to bullying, anti-bullying, and that training is, of course, it's called child protection. Okay, it's called child protection and safeguarding children, and the training is available for teachers um, and even for students as well. I mean, anti-bullying. There should be anti-bullying trainings for the students, and the reason for this is some children do not even understand what bullying is. See, so there are trainings that teachers should undergo when it comes to bullying. I've read a lot of stories of people that have gone through um, this um, uh, this plague of bullying, and I can tell you for a fact that best practices were not followed in those schools. I can read up some of them for you. Um, in fact, there's a particular one that is worthy of note, and let me just read this particular one out, and um, it says, my first night in the boarding house, I was unpacking my box and one of my ex books fell out. I'm a member of Ek and Car. This was in 1995. We didn't have the number. We didn't have the numbers we do. We didn't have the numbers we do today. Pentecostal Christianity was rising in fervor with the results that most people had never heard or did not know anyone who is an Ekist. Suffice to say, that night I was labeled a witch and would be summoned from class to class by curious seniors. First of all, when we examine this story, you'll discover that the child was labeled in his or her dormitory by other students, which means there is no one monitoring the students at all, even in their dormitories. That's not best practice. See, that's not best practice. You don't allow kids unattended. You don't leave kids, sorry, you don't leave kids unattended. When you leave them unattended, then definitely you should expect this kind of behavior from children. Now, for the singular reason that some of them may not even be aware that what they're doing is bullying. Some of them may just think that they're just making fun or catching some kind of fun or making fun of the other students. So it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem that, in fact, from the secondary school I attended, as a boy, there was no such thing as child protection in the school. In fact, when we come for break, we're just left, to ourselves by the teachers. We're left to ourselves by the teachers. And sometimes you, as a child, you're the one trying to protect yourself because you have been warned by your parents, don't come home with any bruises. Don't come home with an injury. And so you don't want to leave school with an injury or a bruise so that I don't get another extra beating at home. See?
True.
So sometimes you might even find teachers in their staff rooms, gisting with one another, playing and discussing politics of some sort, while the children are outside by themselves playing. See, so these are some of the problems around safeguarding children, because you want to have a safe environment for children. You want to have a proper environment where children can thrive. And you don't want a situation whereby the children themselves, they're not protected in the school. See?
Yeah.
So they should be, teachers should be trained properly. It's not just, oh, I can teach math, oh, I can teach literacy, or I can teach science. No, there should be proper training for teachers. And this training could be sponsored, should be sponsored by the school. See, you can get experts to come into your school, teach, train teachers and all of that. In fact, we have, like I mentioned the EduCamp training, because this is an ongoing, this is a yearly training for teachers. Teachers can participate in these trainings annually. It comes up from the period of it comes up in August, and it lasts for, I think, about a week or sometimes 3 days. See, so EduCamp is a place where teachers can get proper training, to do their work, as in terms of safeguarding children and child protection.
I think worthy of mentioning. I think worthy of mention.
Teachers have
this. Sorry, I think worthy of mention is this. In reference to the point you made, the yearly training. I attended a government secondary school. Government secondary school is also known as a public school. Dowen College, schools like Dowen College is a private school. Now, if you notice, most of the things that we are talking about, they can, let's not say easily, but they can possibly be applied to private schools, right? Because there probably might be a structure that can be put in place to ensure the implementation of all of those things. But when you look at the public schools, in quotes, the government schools, like the type that I attended, it's another story. It's another story. So there's a question of, is it going to be a case of the children in private school to be more protected than the children in public schools, right? And one of those questions I was asking myself was, not like I was thanking God that Sylvester died in a private school. No, it's a far cry from that. But somehow I was grateful that this whole thing is from a private school, because we know the deal. If it was a public school, the question is, would it have gained this much coverage? Would people have really known about what?
No, definitely not.
Exactly. Would the parents of the deceased from a public school have been able to get this much publicity, So that's another conversation entirely. I just thought I should chip that in. Guys, for those of you that are watching this conversation right now, I'm going to share the link to it. So if you want to join us, you can just easily click on the link. All right. Can just easily click on the link. All right, Victor. Another question I would love to ask is this. So we've talked about training for the teachers. What about training for the students?
Okay, yes. There are trainings for the students when it comes to child protection. These trainings can be done by bringing experts to the school, okay, and of course the teachers themselves can take out time and have a training session with the children, okay. Those are not the only avenues, or those are not the only strategies that can stop bullying. There are other strategies that can also stop bullying, but of course there are trainings for the children as well, and that's because the children themselves need to know what bullying is. For a teacher like me, a teacher that is trained to protect children should be able to detect that a child is being bullied. And a good way to know that is to observe the behavioral changes in that particular child. So if the case of Sylvester was a case of bullying and being beaten by other students, then his class teacher should have detected. They should have detected symptoms like withdrawal, being sad all the time, being gloomy, being angry, being emotional, at all times, or being withdrawn from other students. These are things that should have been detected by the teacher, and concerns should have an individual plan, like an IEP, should have been raised for that child. Because when we notice a concern, for a child, when we notice that kind of a concern, we develop an IEP for that child, an individual education plan.
Okay.
Yes, an individual education plan. The issue is escalated to the appropriate heads. And a plan, and the parents are involved. Of course, they are brought in as well. And a plan is established to ensure that that child is restored, okay, to the way that he or she should be. So one of the things that you want to ask, one of the questions that you want to ask is this: was it detected early? I heard several stories. I heard some stories, from several outlets that the boy himself complained to his or her parents that he was being bullied. Of course, you will not expect his parent to understand, to maybe because they don't have this kind of training. But a teacher should be able to detect. A trained teacher should be able to detect that a child is being bullied. That is, if the case is bullying. See, so the teacher should be able to detect. The housemaster should be able to notice that a particular child is having symptoms of bullying. See, so these are serious concerns about the professionalism of these teachers.
And in other words, we're talking about a comprehensive model that every staff of every school should have engraved in their minds, because they need to even, first of all, understand the symptoms of a child who is being bullied. Because in cases like this, look at most of the stories that parents from the school have shared. It's very obvious that most of the teachers, even the principal, does not even know the symptoms of a child that is being bullied. And because of the way kids are, they would easily conclude that, oh, this child is lying or seeking attention, this child is cold. So in their heads, it's probably another way of disciplining the child by not taking the child serious when the child makes certain complaints, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Now, I heard from a parent that has a child in the school because it's been all over the news. So the school does not have TV around the premises and all of that. But I did not really want to dwell on that because I am not sure. I don't know. But I learned from a child and a parent that has a child there that actually the school does not really have TV cameras all around the place. Do you think that that's a necessity or not from a school like that?
Okay, when it comes to, and that's why, initially when we started this conversation, I talked about the safeguarding policies of the school. Different schools have different safeguarding policies when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to dealing with children. Like I always say, of course, while some consider having CCTV cameras in the school, if proper measures are put in place, even without a CCTV camera, you should be able to safeguard children within the school premises. Maybe where the CCTV cameras um, would be really important would be in those places where the teachers cannot go, maybe in those crevices, within the school environment where you would most likely not have an adult supervision.
Mm.
See, like I had a particular story where someone mentioned that during his days in a boarding house, that some children went to the ceiling to smoke cigarettes or Indian hemp or something. In my mind, I was asking myself if there was some kind of adult supervision, would that have happened? You know, in
Mm.
fact, I even saw a picture of a typical dormitory. I don't know the particular school that had this dormitory. In fact, there were over 50 beds in
Mm.
one dormitory. You
Mm.
know, that is that is way too much. How do you monitor a dormitory of 100 students? How do you monitor that? How do you monitor them?
Mm.
How? And
Mm.
who knows? Maybe there is just one housemaster monitoring all of them. How would you not
Exactly.
have cases of bullying in
Mm.
that kind of an instance?
Mm.
See? So if you want to monitor children properly, if you want to ensure that no child is left behind, that no child is left unattended to, then you have to really cut that number down. The hostels have to be designed in such a way that they are properly monitored by an adult.
Mm.
Maybe the CCTV camera should be in places where the adult would not be able to monitor. I know
Mm.
that there are issues of privacy when it comes to, and there'll always be the issue of privacy when it comes to CCTV cameras. But of course, we can always there should the school can inform parents about their own policy. So you see, it all comes back to the policy that is in place within the school itself, and
Yeah.
how that policy of safeguarding children will be implemented. So if that is in place, then that can be communicated to the parents, and the parents
Mm.
can then ask themselves if they want to, send their children to that particular school, if they are content about that or not. See,
Mm.
so apart from just the CCTV cameras, if there is no proper um, strategies involved, I mean, in terms of safeguarding children in our schools, we
Mm.
will have cases like this repeating itself in maybe some other school. I thank God for
Mm.
what is happening within the educational sector right now in schools. A lot of schools are stepping up um, their anti-bullying policies and their child protection policies. So, and they should be commended for that. But I think there should be more trainings. There should be more monitorings in place when it comes to bullying. Yes.
So while you were speaking, something came to my mind. I recall the conversation that I was having with one of my sisters. So she,
Mm,
thankfully, had also attended a boarding school, and
mm,
she had narrated her ordeal. Now, what she said was that in boarding houses, especially the one she went to in Calgary, there was this tradition of the senior students in SS3 bringing out all the SS2 students at night, in the middle of the night, when it was bedtime, lights out. They take them to far, far, far away into the field, still within the school's premises, but away from the buildings of the school. They take them away into the field. They strip them naked and they beat them as if they were criminals. Like they punch them, they step on them, they beat them as if they were criminals. And then while those ones will be crying and begging, why are you beating us? They will say that this is what the seniors that were passing out, graduating, did to us. So we too, we are doing it to you people. So when you people want to graduate as well, feel free to do it to the ones you are leaving behind. So it's
mm,
a dirty tradition. And it will shock you that there are a lot of parents that boastfully narrate their boarding school experiences to their kids, telling their kids, back in those days, they dealt with us. When we wanted to move out as well, we also dealt with them. You too, you'll be encouraging their kids, especially their sons. Make sure you shine your eye. Make sure you're also very, very tough. Make sure you deal with people that would likely want to deal with you. So those kids will come back into the school environment and they are hardened like criminals. So what they are carrying in their heads is no longer the need to be a good child, a good boy or a good girl. What they want to
mm,
become is that tough sport that nobody can play with. And in the process, they become the predators themselves because they are like ever ready for any action that wants to happen. So
mm.
the question is about such kinds of traditions that are passed from generation to generation to generation. Do you think schools are doing enough to investigate such ridiculous traditions and also looking for ways to re-educate and reorient, am I speaking that English right? Reorient their pupils, to make them understand that those things are actually barbaric. Do you think that schools are doing enough in that regard?
Now, if those actions are still being carried out by students today, then it goes to show how those schools were not built to protect um, children. I would honestly, schools need to do more in terms of child protection when it comes to safeguarding children. There's a practice that we do in my school every term where the children are given surveys, and they are asked. I mean, there are a lot of questions on that survey, and they are
Mhm.
asked so many questions. In fact, they are asked questions like, um, does your teacher bully you?
Hmm.
Questions like that. Does a teacher shout at you? Like that. These questions will put the teacher in check. It will put
Mhm.
the other children in check.
Mhm.
And of course, you can get a lot of data from that kind of a survey. You can get a
Yes.
lot of data, and that assures the child, that I am safe within this environment.
Hmm.
That gives the child a voice. There are some children that may not be able to speak up when they are being bullied.
Hmm.
And maybe partly because they don't even know that what's happening to them is bullying. Some of them may just feel, oh, that person is my friend. I
Hmm.
mean, there was a case of a boy who was being bullied by another boy. This boy would take this particular child's snack at school and will demand that he gets the snack from this particular child, from this other child at school. And at a point, the other child stopped eating his or her snack in school. And he will eat his or her snack only when he's about to go home, maybe when he's being picked from school. It was later detected and it was brought to the attention of the school. See, so there are actions of bullying where the child in question, is not even aware that what's going on, that what's happening to me is bullying. So with that kind of a survey, okay, the teacher can look at it, or the school authorities can look at it, and they can tell that a child is being bullied, within that particular environment. So it is very, very important. I don't think that if that kind of if those kind of practices are happening in a particular, I don't think they are doing enough to stop bullying and protecting their children. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor. As you can see, we have Dupe, Omiwade, and Wall online with us. Happy New Year, amazing people.
Happy New Year, Glory. Yeah.
You're welcome back. It's good to see you.
Same here. Same
Yes.
here. After a long break. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Dupe's network is reconnecting. So let's just quickly go on with you, Mr. Wall. I'm sure you've been following the story.
Yeah, I know. I followed it last year. It was, I think, it happened in November or something. Yeah,
Okay.
I think then I was even in Houston actually when I think we had this conversation back and forth and all that. So it's so real. It's funny and interesting. We predicted. I think I watched your. I think what you had 2 episodes of this when Kemi Olunoyo. I don't know her anyway, which she is. When you talked about our own. I don't know where she got all her own things about being a cult like Big Brother Nigeria. I think that was the last episode I know you aired about this or Skaga. But we know it's Nigeria, but it's so sad we're saying it. We know. I don't know. It's so real that the state government and even with 2 autopsy results, In fact, I saw that report on Instagram. I was in at work when I saw that. That was before you even did your video. That was yesterday or 2 days ago. Because it's always in the morning here when I wake up, I see your video. So it's always like hours difference. It's so bad. I don't know what our education system, and in fact, not the education system. We talk about the government now because we've moved from that because it's about the money then now. It's about who can sort who. And it's that bad. Sorry, I'm trying to situate my phone. Yeah, it's really, really so real that we're having to talk about things like this now. So I don't know. It's just I don't know what I just know we're talking about the whole I don't even know. I don't know what to say, but so what happened to the lawyer? What happened to Fowl's dad now? Everything is squashed. Is this still so are they going, this is state now, so are they going to take it to federal because
it's not squashed yet. It's not squashed. As a matter of fact, I've been following the story and from the information I got yesterday, the case has not even gotten to court, and the DPP was very, very hasty to produce her recommendation that everybody should be cleared and everybody should go. So what we are hoping for is that the legal representative of the family takes the matter to court and let the matter be actually battled out in court, because the conclusion that they came to from the
press
family,
conference? Okay.
the conclusion from the DPP, everything was reached in 3 days. And so the question is, where was the trial done? How did they come to that conclusion? The investigation is not even over. The people in question that
it's
were
just
arrested.
I don't like in this case. This is about minors, like you said. I know most of the people copy it here. I don't know the way they treat minors here is different from the way they treat that in Nigeria. But like I'm sure you follow the news, you heard about the guy in Atlanta, Ahmad Habri. They sentenced those guys to life imprisonment yesterday. The case about black, yes. So it's 2 years, but at least we see here justice is, the case back and forth every 6 months. We have hearings and all that. So I don't know if that could work in Nigeria. So I don't even know because they followed that case to the letter yesterday. Everything we know that it was everything. Justice was well served. The mom of the guy came out and all that. But this is minors now we're talking about. So I don't know what the law is in Nigeria compared to because they could start bringing up different constitutional statements saying according to the law, but I don't know. I'm not a law. I'm an engineer, so I don't know much about Nigerian law. But it's just so sad. So real that we predicted this. In fact, Glory, your first.
We predicted it, yeah. We predicted
And
it.
this is just a press conference, not even so, because that's the only thing I saw on Instagram and on YouTube. Like everybody, everything.
You're welcome. You're welcome back, Dupe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dupe was online before, and then I don't know. I think the network happened. Dupe, you're welcome back.
Can she hear you?
Can you hear me, Dupe? Can you hear us?
Maybe she doesn't.
Oh, she can hear you. You
Okay,
can
yeah.
be more audible. Hello, Dupe.
I think it's a network issue.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's the network. I think
yes.
it's the network.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't really. It's interesting. Like, nah.
So
It's
Victor, picking
just,
up from where we stopped, because I felt like, you know what, these people are just playing. They are playing with us Nigerians. They are acting like we are babies. You know, I am not all for chopping off the heads of those boys because I don't know exactly what happened in Dowen College. You know, I don't know. But for me, I feel like the school is the first culprit in this. That case of negligence cannot be written off. It is there. It happened, it began from the school, and Sylvester's case is not the first. It's something that has been happening over time. And for a previous staff to come out and say that it has been a deep-rooted issue, then it means that for real, the school has turned a blind eye to that part of their reality in that school. So for me, I've always been of the opinion that the school needs to be probed continuously until, you know, they get to the bottom of the matter. But then the question now is, what exactly do you think Dowen College can do better to prevent such a case from happening again? Because this is not the first. This is not the first cases. It's been happening for a long time from people's testimonials. So it's like a wound that they've left to fester for so long. So at this point now, because it's as if it took Sylvester's death to expose their can of worms. So what do you think can be done to prevent a repetition, not just for Dowen College, but for any other school?
Okay. For something like this to have happened, okay, in a school where there's a lot of controversy surrounding whether it was a case of bullying or whether it was a case of an injury that was sustained in a football pitch, whichever be the case, it's still a case of that the child was not adequately protected within the school. Because if it was a case of, even if it was a case of a child that sustained an injury within in a football pitch or during the course of a football match, then the question would be, was the child properly supervised during the course of the match? Because still, under the safeguarding rules, you don't allow children just go out, play football without them being monitored by an adult in the school, in this case, a teacher. I mean, when they were paired with the other students, were they paired according to their age? Do you pair a 10-year-old child or an 11-year-old child with a 16-year-old child in a football match? You know, then that wouldn't be best practice. Because if you pair a child that is just 11-year-old with a child that is 15, 16-year-old, of course, you expect that someone would definitely be injured in that match. So there are a lot of questions, that bothers the mind, that you want to ask concerning how the school's policy on child protection was implemented. So I think that in itself should be investigated in the school.
Hmm.
You know, parents should ask, what's your or whoever is investigating this should, and I believe that probably it is being investigated. You know, they should ask questions like, okay, what's your policy on child protection here in this school? What's your policy on child protection? What's your policy on safeguarding children?
Mhm.
See, and you know, if you remember, there are some public schools where you have as many as 50, 80 children in a class. You know, in a modern school, the safeguarding policy will not allow that. You cannot have 50 to 80 children in a class. That would be too much to monitor by the teacher. So the question would be, how do you safeguard children within the classroom and outside of the classroom? What's your policy? What's a policy of safeguarding in the hostels? Do you have like 50 people within a dormitory? Or you have just one teacher supervising 3 blocks? Then when the teacher is in one block, they're doing something else in the other block. And while the teacher is in block A, they're doing something in block C. And when the teacher is in block C, those in block C will quickly comport themselves and they're now doing something in block D. That cannot work. You cannot protect. And you see, when we have given parents that assurance, that I am going to protect your child, when we're giving parents that assurance, then it's up to us to protect that child within our space, within the school. You know, even when I have my breaks and my partner takes over and I go out to maybe to the restroom, when I see a child there that I know that should not be there, you know, you want to ask that child, why are you here? You know, you should be somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and the child has to give a good reason why the child is there. And you must inform the parents as well. I'm sorry, inform the teachers of that particular child, while the child should be there when lessons are going on. So this it all boils down to their safeguarding policy within the school itself. And for that kind of an event to happen, like I told you when I first heard of it, I was shocked. Because
Okay.
because if the proper practices were put in place, something like this would never have happened. It would never have happened. So I don't think they've done enough. But what they can do is to go back to their policies. They should go back to the policies and look out for best practices on safeguarding children. They are all over the place. If they look for it, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. So this is Dupe Omiwade, as you can see on the screen. Dupe is our in-house psychologist, and I'm really happy that she's joining this conversation because she's a wife, she's a mother, she has kids. So I'm sure she is also another person that is an authority in this conversation. Dupe, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Good
I've
afternoon.
struggled
Happy New
with
Year.
I've struggled with my connection. You could see that I was in and out, and well, here I am. I'm here. Victor, thank you so much. I was listening to all you were saying, and one thing that struck me in what you said was process, policy, maybe guideline that should be put in place for schools to to drive their relationship with the kids. But one thing I want to say about that is it is the people that drive policy. Otherwise, it will just be a document in the shelf. These days, we really do not have people that are passionate about their job. People are just engaging in different venture, in different maybe source means of livelihood, just for the fun of it to earn a living. Otherwise, the image that we had, the perception that some of us had about teachers, when we remember some of our teachers now, honestly, we hold them a whole lot of things, because then in those days, teachers are seen as next to God. So many things are responsible now. I honestly don't want to go to the situation that we find ourselves. But one thing that I want to say is the schools and the school authority, the directors who have sworn to impact in the future of the kids should at least invest in it. What do I mean? You should love the children and see the future in them. That is when those policies that you have on ground can make meaning. Even when you have employed people who just want to earn a living, I tell you, you can make out what you want to drive your purpose or your intent. A whole lot of teachers on the call or listening to us all over the country do not even know what you are talking about. Teachers must be passionate about these kids. That is when they can pay attention to them. That is when they can do all the much that you have been saying for like 15, 20, 25 minutes back. People should see these kids as our future. It is beyond put a pen on a blackboard. You must be involved in their totality, the morals. What do you want to to bring out of these children apart from learning bookwise? It takes a lot to to groom a child. It takes relationship. It takes dedication and passion. Elsewhere, some of us have kids elsewhere. I tell you, it is a joint thing for you to train your child, both the parents and the teachers. As a matter of fact, in the school curriculum, there are teachers' days where these kids are kept at home. They don't just come to work, to school, so that teachers can have refresher, not only in academics, but in the other core aspects that makes a hero of a citizen. This is what works elsewhere. Is it that they don't have this kind of temptation? They do, but they quickly curb it. Even the children get to themselves that they cannot be animalistic in nature. They drive into them what is it to be a citizen? What does being a hero mean to you? What kind of future? And they start so early. They start even at kindergarten. They groom these ones to know what is the normal. Otherwise, I tell you, all those policies that you're talking about, if they ever exist at all, they will just be books in the shelf. Teachers do not know the meaning, so it can be transferred or to the children. When a child is born, we are talking about child psychology or developmental milestone. Whatever you want to drive into that child starts from birth. In fact, starts from conception. But now, let's see, when you deliver the child, what kind of child do you want? By the time you allow them to have a will or have their own decision-making power, to get into them this essence of morals that makes a sound adult or early young adult or early or pre maybe adolescent age, it is too late. Most of them it be too late. Even when a child thinks bullying is play, what kind of grooming does that child have from the background? What is it seeing that to be? What impact is that making on another person? If that child has a proper grooming from even the early days, then it will be difficult to accept whatever it is that is outside that somebody is selling to that child. But I don't want to lose my focus on the school and the teachers and all the minders, the nannies. Even the nannies play a huge part in this, in driving the acceptable values into our children. Everybody goes to school with the child elsewhere. And that is why you have a register or a diary for that child to see what that child is doing, even when he's off school, when he's at home. When you are asked to read a chapter in a day, you just have to make sure that you do. Because you are going to sign it as a parent that that child have actually read that chapter at home. We know what is the essence of the Parent Teachers Association. What are we discussing? Do we have forum where parents can discuss something unusual that they have seen in the life of their child? What is the forum for teaching the expectations for the parents or for the caregivers? You know, if you don't have all these structures, somebody driving it passionately, the school system will be in a mess, and that's what we are seeing. When you say you hire somebody as a minder, what is the basic qualification? What is the structural plan to develop that person to meet up with your intent? What are they training them? What is the method of evaluation and re-evaluation that they have not deviated? It is even not 1 year thing. Twice yearly is even too long to assess whether even the teachers are in line with the policies that are on ground. Now, let us also look at our educational sector. What is the monitoring and evaluation, the M&E, as a control for these schools? But what we see is that somebody just have money, it can build a structure. Even the structure, you can't build it without putting safety things into perspective, into consideration. The health and safety team should assess your structure and know that it's compliant with the target group that you want to have in the school. And all of them will have high-rising structures. High-rising structures with perforated burglary that actually a child can roll from up and roll down. Who are the health and safety engineers who were part of the development of that structure? See, there's a lot into child's education. It is a pity that a life is involved in this, a life is lost. It's a total collaboration. It is not what one school with influence can do. And then what are the correctional measures? Who drives it? If a school is not compliant, we're talking about compliance issues here. If school is not compliant, what are the strategies to get them back to track? Who is monitoring? What is the penalty? What is available for? I think parents should begin to have jingles. Media should begin to have jingles for parents. What are your expectations enrolling? It is not by the money. It is not by the structure. It can be a school that is not even known in the radar of the vicinity. But if they have the content to give a total package for the child, that will be good. Part of the communication is another thing. What are they communicating to these children? Do you engage them? I tell you elsewhere, like I say, I have my kids elsewhere. They're from the kinder. They begin to tell you your expectations. Police, there's a day police team will come to the school and they will come and teach them their basic rights. Honestly, when I got that, when some of us are into different citizenship. So when I got that initially, how many decades back, I was amazed. Initially, I frowned at it. Why will a police team come to the school? But when I got the content, the essence of why they are doing that, I got relaxed. That is why they teach this kind of bullying. That's when they tell you what to do when you have it. That's when they communicate to the teachers. How many teachers have emails that is functional, that the school can link them up with? Oh, I observed this. You don't really have to go almost all the time and become a nuisance to the school. But if you observe anything in your child, you put up a mail. And then you apply, maybe make an appointment schedule to see, so that they can see what you are seeing in that child. A child that has been active suddenly becomes so timid, it cannot look at your face. There's something is brewing. There's no structure like that in Nigeria. That is why parents are ignorant, teachers are ignorant. These innocent ones are honestly suffering. And when you see our children go to tertiary institution elsewhere, I tell you, they are almost lost into the crowd because they just got absorbed. They don't know what it looks like. They don't have the background. So you need engagement for I've talked about the policy and who is driving the policy, whatever it is. What is the M&E structure? I've also talked about the group of people who are employed as teachers. And so many people can read and have bachelors. So many people can read and have BSc and be able to teach whatever it is. But do you have the extra that makes you a teacher that is concerned with the totality of that child, that is going to be part of the community, that's going to be a future of the country? Again, what attention are we paying to the teachers? To the parents? What are you supposed to look at in your children? We don't have all of this. And as long as we don't have all of these are the things that we are going to be saying. And of course, I will round up so that other people can talk by saying, okay, your child is pregnant. You have taken that child to do abortion. What you have only done is to welcome that child into more of that, which you will not even be aware of. You say the child have done something wrong. You are hiding that child. You are saying you're protecting your child as it were. What is consequence management? To every choice, there is a consequence. So if parents are hiding, I tell you, those kind of, like I said in some of the previous, those children, they are going to come back and be a nuisance to their family. You have only launched them into, please go ahead. We can always have our way. Elsewhere, you may not be able to have your way. Your parents may not have influence all over the world. They will not make a great leader or a great adult in the next future. Who bears the heat? The parents will be part of it. So what I'm saying is, we even need jingles to tell. Honestly, these are some of the things that I have been looking for. I have passion for. Let's begin to throw jingles about people. If every other system have failed us, we should utilize media. We should utilize social media and even the TV media, radio media for jingles about tips, expectations for education, both for the children, both for the parents, for the teachers. And let the government also help us to find a way. All the ministries, they should go back to the drawing board and set up plans that will work, plans that will not be influenced by affluence, plans that will not be influenced by know who, to save our future generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dupe. Victor, I'm sure you can relate with all Dupe has been saying.
Yes, very much.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Let me move on to Anurika. Faye and Free, you're welcome. Let me move on to Anurika. I can see that you've been so sober. How are you feeling about this conversation?
Hi, Gloria. How is everybody doing? Actually, I'll have to tell myself that I have to be awake today, this time, to join your live stream, because sometimes by the time you're doing the live stream, I'm just coming back from work and I'm sleeping.
Thanks for joining.
Good morning. This is our morning over here, so good morning, everybody. Yeah, I just want to chip in into this Sylvester case. My concern is, don't we have investigators in Nigeria? Don't we have people that when things like this happen, they will take their time? I'm not talking about the other doctor that says she's an investigating journalist. I'm talking about in Nigeria, in our police system. Don't we have people, like, when things like this happen, they will come in and investigate a case like this to actually know what happened? Because doing college is not telling us the truth here. We don't know what really happened to Sylvester. Somebody somewhere is covering something up.
True. I feel so
another point I want to draw in is, they're telling us he has pneumonia, he has sepsis, he has all these diseases in him, that was what led to his death. When they admit students to that school, don't they have doctors that run their medical reports? Like they run their medical background, and to know if they're healthy and if they're if they can be admitted into the school, or if they have medical conditions or biomedical conditions. I I know we have a teacher here. I'm just saying this, you know, because before they admit Sylvester into the school, they must have run a medical report on him, right? To know if he has any existing disease or anything going on him that, you know, that
Yes, definitely.
that they can be
Definitely.
aware of in case if he gets sick, you know, that they will
Yes.
know that, okay, this boy have this issue. Okay, let's see if this is the
Yes.
problem.
It's part of the it's part of the admission process.
Okay.
Part of the admission
So
process.
if they
And
have the
yes.
record of Sylvester's medical record, can they bring it out and show it to us so that we can compare it to whatever the autopsy is saying? You know, like if maybe there's some because I know pneumonia, if you have pneumonia, it stays a while in you, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's not something that just is not an acute pneumonia is not something that how am I gonna say it? But so these are the things they need to look into. Another thing I want to talk about is there is this name, Favor, that even students, even the parents are listening to the Gloria, was it not your online your live? I was listening to your somebody the parents make the PTSD. One other parent was mentioning Favor, that her own child was being beaten and tormented by that same boy Favor. So is the police commissioner, the Lagos State commissioner, are they trying to tell us that there is no smoke without fire? Like these children are crying, lion is in doing college, and there is no lion in doing college.
That's a very good issue.
So all these things, I mean, and then there are students inside the Sylvester's hostel that testify that 6 students came to beat him up. Are they trying to throw all those things under the carpet? Like those things did not happen for real? Where are those students? Did they investigate them? Did they call them to the police station to take their own testimonies? Okay. Now I had a lady saying that the parents should stop talking to the media and stop bringing this to the social media. That's a way for this case to die, just to be dead, because I think it's only the social media that is keeping this case going.
Exactly.
If the parents stop talking to the social media, they will have time to die this case.
Exactly.
So my own thing is Nigerian system is not working. It is only working for the rich. There is no justice in Nigeria. This thing will not see. Let me tell you, when something come out as on a national television and is on a CNN, they don't judge this case like, okay, the social media will not know about it. We have a case of a student in US here. He went and shot the school. He's a minor, but they will not say because he's a minor and he did something. Oh, they cannot call their names. They cannot be shown on the national television. Their pictures cannot be shown. They did something. They will judge them. They will bring them out. They judge him nationally. He's a minor. And we all saw the case and how it goes and how they sentenced the student, the 15 years old. Why is it everything in Nigeria is different? Why is it they want development, but when they get it, they twist everything upside down and make it suit the rich? The only reason we're still talking about this is because at least Sylvester's father is a little bit he's not like a common Nigerian.
Yes,
He's not a common Nigerian, because if not, this case would have been died done long ago. They did autopsy in Warri. the autopsy result was I watched Daddy Freeze when Dr. Frank was really talking about the autopsy and everything. He kind of said everything about the autopsy and how the autopsy was accurate. Then the Lagos state government, they bring their own autopsy. They're telling us the boy died of pneumonia and sepsis. Okay, if the boy died of pneumonia and or sepsis or whatever they say, okay, what about the students that keep saying that Favor, that the student they call Favor, is threatening them in the school, and where is the boy? Where are those students? Where are they? Glory, you know, I really don't like to talk because when you talk, they I really don't like to I'm just mad. I'm just crying for this soul. I'm just crying for Sylvester. I pray that they just don't put this thing or treat this case like the case of the other lady that was crying for her own son in this church name Deborah, Madam Deborah. You know, they don't care about the children. These children are the futures of tomorrow. They don't care. All they care is just about the rich kids, the rich parents. I mean, doing college have a lot to answer. They have a lot. They have a lot to answer. And they cannot open that school. How can Nigeria be running a school without a camera? There must be camera in their lunch places, that's the lunch rooms. There should be a camera in their lunch rooms. On the hallways, there should be cameras on the hallways. Because in as much as you said, oh, you put somebody in charge, the person cannot see everything.
Do you know the interesting thing? Let me shock you. Do you know the interesting thing? I mentioned it to Victor earlier when we first started talking, that we're even having the conversation of having cameras in schools like Dowen College. And that is because they are the private schools. If you look at every other kind of school in this country that is not a private school, there is no such thing, and there is no conversation about provision for things like that. You go to a regular public school, you will see children roaming around the street aimlessly. At the end of the day, some of them don't even write tests, some of them don't even write exams. They don't know their left from their right. But what you know is that when it is time to write the federal exam, people will still come and write that exam. Those that will pass, and those that will not pass, there will be massive failure. So for Dowen's College one, I am even more surprised because if they do not have cameras around the school premises, then I think whatever they are charging as tuition fee is a scam. Because for a school to be at that level, you know, termed as one of the biggest and strongest, most prestigious schools in Lagos City, in Nigeria, with strong connections abroad, why would they not have cameras? So it's a deeper problem that we think. It is a deeper problem. Let me welcome Free. Free, you are welcome to the conversation. I can see your face like you're looking exhausted. Is it exhaustion from the entire case, or which is it?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, everybody. Hi,
You're
Glory.
welcome.
I'm exhausted. I'm sorry I happened to join like this. I was already making my hair when the conversation started. I have a lot on my mind. This whole issue, it hurts a lot, and it's even more painful the fact that a lot of people are just quiet and not saying a word because it doesn't affect them. It's not their child, so they're not related to the kid. They're just keeping quiet, you know. I joined Daddy Phrases live yesterday. I even sent it to you, you know, I sent it to you on Instagram. And Daddy Freeze was talking to Tonto that he's mad that some celebrities are not speaking out. And there was a statement that Tonto made that actually I agree with. She said, there's no need for you to call anybody, like force people or call them out before they would speak on it. You understand? You don't need to do that. If you want to speak on it, if you feel it's the right thing to do, then you should do so. It's not until somebody calls you out to speak on it before you want to speak on it. No, you don't have to. Because at the end of the day, God forbid, one day you also need help. And just the way you kept quiet, other people will also keep quiet. And they'll also say, oh, it's not their business. You understand? They'll also keep quiet. And now, coming from the parents' perspective, the parents of the boys, it's just baffling. Like, I can't imagine having a child that goes to school and bully other children, beats them up, dance around them, dehumanize them. I watched the video of one of the boys, I think it was Edward Brown, like a short clip when he was pushing his classmates during a football match. It was pushing the boy and he was even touching himself. Ew. That's even by the way. And some days back, I watched another video, but this was, I think, in UK or so, of a group of boys beating one boy. These were high school students. They were beating one boy. I think I'll forward it to you after the live stream. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. And these children will still go home, their parents will treat them like children, talk to them, pet them, but they're not kids because they're monsters inside. I don't know how people, I'm not one to question anybody's upbringing. I'm not a parent yet, so I can't say. I only have nephews and nieces, so I can't really say. I can't question anybody's upbringing. But I think that as a parent, your first priority should be a child. I'm not a big believer of boarding schools. I don't like boarding school. My younger sister went to a boarding school, and when she didn't even finish because immediately she went to that boarding school, like 2 years later, she turned into something else entirely. I don't want to go into that, but she became a whole different person. Everybody was complaining, like, no, this is not the girl that left this compound and went to school. This is not, like, she came back like the opposite of herself. So that was it for me. That was it. I don't consider boarding or anything. But being a parent, you might be busy and all your children are in boarding school, in day school, but no matter how busy you are, your children should be your priority. I feel like these kids that grow up to be bullies, it's a lot of factors that are surrounding it. It might be the way their parents talk to their domestic staffs. It might be the way their parents talk to their friends. It might be the way they see their parents handle issues. These little things that you think, oh, children are not learning. They're learning from it. They might not practice on it in front of you, but when you're not there, they want to practice it with another person. And who is that other person? Maybe they're mates in school. They're mates in a social group or something. They want to practice it because that's what they see at home. If you install love, love and kindness in your child, let them know that love and kindness is the most important thing. No matter how rich you are, no matter how influential you are, treat people equally, treat people with love and respect. I don't think they'll grow up to be bullies, except they are witch, and nobody is born a witch. Do you understand? These are things that they've learned. The parents might not even know that, okay, this is what I'm doing to my child, but they are doing it unconsciously. And all these things, the children are digesting it and they'll go to school, they'll start practicing it on other people. My nephew complained to myself and his mom about some weeks ago when I was still in Lagos that, oh, there's a child in his class that is bullying him. The boy took his uniform. He's always bullying. I was like, why? I don't understand. He said he doesn't know. The boy is always looking for his trouble. And his mom was so mad, like, the next time if he slaps you, give him two. So I was like, no, you don't need to do that. Instead, go to the school, have a conversation with the mom, talk to the mom. She was like, no, because she don't have that kind of chill. Like, no, what about the day I'm not there, God forbid? Who is going to stand up for him? Let him fend for himself. Let him stand up for himself. So I was thinking that, okay, reacting with violence for violence, it might not be the best solution. I feel like that should only come to play when the situation has become extreme. You understand? And then she went to have a conversation with the school and the parents of the boy, and hope and thank God all that stopped. And now, coming from the school's perspective, I already looked at the parents' perspective. They know what's going on with them for them to be able to raise bullies. And a lot of times, there are some parents that even, raise their children upright, install all these good virtues in them, and they still turn out to be something else. Maybe they learnt it outside the home. So I'm not entirely faulting the parents. But what I'm saying is that even if they learnt it outside the home, you should be able to detect that, okay, this is a toxic trait in my child. Learn, as in put your eye down and listen. Their actions, it speaks a lot of volume. You see the way they treat their friends, you see the way they talk, you see the way they react, you see the way they even treat their own domestic staffs. I can't imagine having a domestic staff and my child will be disrespectful to that domestic staff. Like, how dare you? she's working for me does not mean she's your slave or she's my slave. No,
Absolutely,
she's getting paid for her job. So you talk to them with respect and dignity. And now coming from the school's perspective, Glory, as in, I'm still literally in shock the way Dowen College are treating, the way they're treating this issue. Like, I can't believe it. Like, you know, they started this whole thing with, oh, the football narrative, he played football. Do you know, till today, till date that we're speaking, they've never come out for once and say, oh, we are sorry, this is what happened, this is the exact thing that happened. I don't know why they will not have camera in such a school that they say they pay above 1 million naira for tuition fee, and you don't have camera installed. And the live conference that I watched on Zoom from one of the teacher, I think it was an ex-teacher also, when he was saying, oh, that sometimes there were things going on before you go upstairs, they've coordinated themselves. You know, that's normal children behavior. Once they see you coming or once they hear you coming, they'll just comport as if nothing is happening. But that's why you're supposed to have cameras there. You understand? To be able to watch them. They say one of the housemasters is so fat. I don't mean to body shame anybody that he can't even climb upstairs. That's why you should have cameras installed. You know, you can just sit down wherever you are. You're watching the activities that I do. Once you detect anything unusual, straight up, you go there. You understand? But no, they're not really concerned. And the school is just is simply disgusting. Is irritating. You know, this is a dead boy. The issue with that Deeper Life boy, the boy is still alive. He lost a lot of weight. He was traumatized, but the boy is still alive.
Could have been
But this
worse.
is a child that is dead. The boy is dead. And yet this school, they are just more focused on opening the school. In all their stupid whatever they are releasing, the bottom line is always, oh, we are hoping the federal government will give us the permission to, that's their priority. That's the school's priority. And it's really, really irritating. That's the priority for them. I mean, and they said that the owner of the school, the daughter is a gospel singer, you know, and she's friends with a lot of celebrities. Say she's a gospel singer, so definitely she's a Christian. As a Christian, you're practicing Christianity. You have a child or you have children, and then you're running a school. A child dies, and you can't even come out for once, even if not as the owner of the school, as a parent, even if not as a parent, as the owner of the school. You know, they say she's running the school, her dad's on the school, but she's the one running it. I expected her herself, like, to come out, you know, and apologize, talk to the family, show that, okay, we are sympathetic, we're really sorry this happened to your child. But no, what are they doing? They're treating it like a minor bullying case, that the boy is still alive, you know, writing whatever they're writing, that rubbish they're writing, releasing it.
And you see,
And
Pri,
you know the painful
that's
thing,
where
it reeks of arrogance.
Pri, sorry,
Anything
let
that
me
they're
pause you
doing.
there. That is where a lot of people, including myself, also has an issue with Dowen College. Victor mentioned, because I asked Victor the same question, if the school took the right approach in addressing the matter, and he said they could have possibly been given legal advice, you know, to come up with that narrative of football injury and all of that. And one thing, it's quite appalling because the truth is, in business, right, you take responsibility for the wrong that has been done, and then you promise to do your further, you know, do your due diligence to investigate and
Diligence,
rectify
yeah.
the situation if you can. But at least show your empathy to the family, to the public. So for me, that's
Glory,
why
this
I
school,
will
they're not
continue
even
saying
sympathetic.
at all, yeah, and that's why I will keep saying that parents who will send their kids back to the school while this case is still the way it is, they have guts. Because if I
And
were to
yeah,
be
that's
a parent,
another thing I
yeah,
wanted to
if I were to be
mention
a
before.
parent, I will not be able to take that step, because the first question I'll be asking myself is, what if my child were to be in the same situation? What would happen? So the school will just continue with their business as usual and just sweep everything under the carpet and act like nothing actually happened. So it's really
And then
sad. And
that's another thing that really baffles me, the fact that the parents of the students there, a lot of them are quiet, except for the woman that spoke out. the majority of them are quiet. You know, they have hundreds, I don't know their capacity of students in that school with parents, and none of them have even come out to even say anything. And they are really, really looking forward to the school reopening, and then they'll take their child back. And then I'm hearing some people make stupid remarks like, oh, they are final year students there, they need to go and write their final exams. I went to a public school. I schooled in Ajegunle, Lagos. That was where I went to school, a public school. But I wrote my WAEC and my GCE in a private school. You can actually enroll students in other schools. You understand? You can enroll them in other schools to write their final exams. That's not even an excuse. You can't use that as an excuse. Left to me, I don't want that school to ever be open again. You understand? Other parents should take their kids to other schools. That's not the only, I can't even call it a good school, a prestigious school. It is not. But that's not the only high standard school in Lagos. There are a lot of them in Lagos, you understand? You can take them to any of those schools. Why are you insisting on going to Dowen College? And the school will really resume, and parents will really take their children there. Like, is it that you care so little about your child's life that it doesn't matter that, okay, this kind of thing happened in the school and you're still taking your children there? Left to me, I don't want that school to be open again. And everything they've been saying is it just boils down to one factor. They want the school to reopen. The Lami Phillips of a woman, she has not for once, this is not a matter of writing a legal whatever and coming. This is a matter that you need to come outside. You understand? You need to come outside and apologize personally, show empathy, show sympathy. You understand? You've already made the mistake of leaving that boy in school when he was sick. Some people are trying to blame the parents, say, oh, why didn't they pick them on time? But they stay in worry. You understand? But the school is there in Lagos. There are hospitals there in Lagos. There's Evercare. There's a lot of things there. They might have a sick bay that the sick bay does not have capacity, to take care of extreme situations. But you can as well take that child to a hospital. You understand? I believe that the money that they charge for school, just like where you want to rent house and you pay for security and a lot of other things, I believe that they include medical bills. In case of a situation whereby the child is sick, they can just take that child to the hospital. You don't need to wait for that child's parent to come before you take them to that boy was supposed to be in the hospital, but they left him in school there, whining and crying in school. What even hurts me the most, Glory, is the fact that this boy did not have an easy death. Like, he was in so much pain till his last breath. As in, that's what gave me the chills, the goosebumps. He did not have an easy death. He was in pain, he was crying, he was suffering. And then what that stupid school could tell his parents was, oh, why did they release the video to the public? Are you guys okay? Like, is it that you're not, I don't know, like, are people not humane anymore? And you're supposed to be a gospel singer, you're a Christian, but not once has anybody said anything. And then Madam Kemi is coming saying, oh, they should not bring it to social media. Glory, if this matter has not been on social media, they would have killed it since. They would have killed it a long time ago. It's because people are still talking about it. People are still, talking about it, trending the hashtag. That's why it's still ongoing. But if it has left social media, I'm telling you, Glory, the matter would have died. The same way they've done to a lot of other issues. So it's really, really appalling. Like, I'm just really disgusted with the whole situation, especially with the owners of the school. The owners of the school, trying to use other children, saying, oh, let other children not be at loss. The boy is already, some people are making stupid remarks that the boy is already dead. Other children
Let me pause you. Let me pause you, all right? Because we're running out of time. So let me just pause quickly and give the floor to Mickey before we come back to Victor to give us some final words. Mickey, you're welcome to the live stream.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Yeah, I noticed you've been very, very sober. Like, you're just down. How do you feel with the progress of this case so far?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Happy New Year.
We wish you same. You're welcome back.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna add to what the lady from US said earlier on before. And also to say that the Nigerian police system, the Nigerian police force failed the child, because the Nigerian system of policing is a joke. When an issue is brought to a police station, whoever that is in charge of that police station, we assign investigating officers to go to the scene of the crime and conduct their own investigation by by talking to the people at the scene of the crime. Nigerian police force should have spoken to the kids. Those should have spoken to the kids in the school, one after the other. You understand? To get why they were waiting for the autopsy to come out. See, everything about Nigeria, the entire person, seriously, the whole thing is so sad. It's so sad that this is 2022. People can use their wealth to buy their way out. You see, it's so appalling. We should do better. Nigerian government should do better. Nigerian police force should do better. They should go and learn how to conduct their work and conduct it very well. Because I believe if they have done a proper job, even before the autopsy came out, they could have found out that they should be sitting on something good to give to the public. Okay, fine. This is what we find out from their own investigation. They cannot base their case based on what the autopsy is saying. So that's what I have to say. It has happened. If we talk from now till tomorrow, the rich use their money to suppress the poor, and they expect people to be okay with it. But it will get to a time whereby your money cannot buy your way out.
Exactly.
You understand? It will get to a point that your money cannot buy your way out. I just want to recommend you on the job well done. I don't really have much to say because it's so disappointing. Like this, Gloria. Let's talk to Mr. Elijah. Let's talk to Mr. Victor.
Yeah. Victor, I know that I can see that your head is full. I can see, and I hope you're not feeling attacked as a teacher, because it's a very emotional case. People cannot talk about it without getting emotional. It's not even about sentiment. This is about the death of an innocent child, 11-year-old. In fact, he turned 12 in death. That's one of the things that causes people so much pain when they think and talk about the case. So apologies if you feel attacked. It is just how the case is making us feel. But before we round up in this conversation, from all what every other person has said, about teachers being passionate, policies, regulations, accountability, which is very, very important, and also someone that monitors and evaluates the applications rather, and the process, the progress of all of these said policies that you mentioned are existing and schools should tap into. What are your final words? Or what are the advice for Dowen College and every other school?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I've listened to everyone, and what I can say is that I think the last speaker, the lady, Miss Free, she said something about the teacher, the teacher at Dowen College that went upstairs to monitor the children, and then he came back downstairs. Now, let me just break that down in terms of child protection and safeguarding so that you can get a clearer context as to what I mean when I talk about child safety and child protection and safeguarding children. You do not leave a child unattended to. But the fact that the children were left on their own and no adult was there with them, it's a big no. It's not proper and best practice. If you look at it from that standpoint, because anything can happen. Anything can happen, and there will be no one to, anything can just happen. Anything can happen at all. So you don't do that. See, I think there was a time in my school where the children had a sleepover, and some children were placed in my care, And I was in the same room where they were. I was in the same room where they were. In fact, that's because the policy has to be followed. You have to be there to monitor them. You can't just leave them unattended to. You can't just leave them to themselves and let them do whatever they like and all of that. That shouldn't have happened. See, and the idea is this: we want to build an environment where these kind of actions are least likely to happen. That's the idea. We want to build an environment where these kind of actions are least likely. The possibility of them happening is very, very slim. See, so that's the whole concept of child protection. And on a final note, I think the schools should do more in terms of training teachers. Sincerely, they should do more in terms of training teachers. I mean, you cannot expect that you bring in someone to cater for children, and that person is telling you that, oh, it's because the children are badly behaved from home. That shouldn't come in as an excuse. You are a teacher, you're a professional. You should be able to handle whatever problems or whatever. You should be able to train the children. You are a teacher. You're not just teaching them the subjects that they are learning. You should be able to encourage positive behavior from the children and to reinforce those positive behaviors. There are a lot of strategies as a teacher that you can use to encourage good behavior, within your classroom. There are a lot of strategies that you can use. One of those strategies that I use in my classroom in my PSHE time. PSHE just means physical, social, emotional development, where I talk to the children about some characters, how to behave, some things that has to do with morals. This kind of this special time that you're having with the children, it allows you to bond properly with the children. That's one. Two, it allows you to be able to shape their concept of how they can treat one another. A lot of children come from different places. They come in with a lot of ideologies, a lot of different behaviors. So as a teacher, you must be able to manage all those behaviors in such a way that when that child is leaving your class, they're leaving your class as a better person. So that we don't always fault the parents. The parents are coming into your school with the assurance that you are going to do something about my child. The parents are paying a lot for that service. So if they are doing a lot of that and having made that commitment and giving you that trust that they can bring their children to your space and to your environment and nothing is going to happen to them, and they will leave that school or that environment being better persons than they came. So that alone should inspire the schools and the teacher to do more. See, sincerely, I cannot imagine a mother coming back from work or from a trip and learning that his or her child died in school. It's unbelievable. Like I said, when I heard it, I couldn't just wrap my mind around the fact that how could teachers be so unprofessional? I couldn't just wrap my mind around that. I was like, so you left children. In fact, when I heard that some the other students left their room, came into his room, beat him up, and then danced around, you begin to wonder, where was this all happening? Is it in the same school? You know, in just a simple thing as a sleepover, where we just, being a year 6 teacher, sometimes when the children are about leaving year 6, they're going to college, we want them to have an experience, get to bond with their classmates before everyone says their final goodbye. Sometimes we have activities lined for them, maybe like taking them to a cinema, having a sleepover, things like that. In just a simple thing as a sleepover, we were very conscious of safety,
And that is how it should be.
Yes, I was with 4 children in a room. And in that room, we were about 4 adults in that room. It was a flat of, there were 3 rooms in the flat. Then one particular room had 4 adults that were monitoring. I, being a teacher, having 4 children in my care, I was monitoring and I was there with them. I was in the same room with them. You see, so that's how these policies are implemented. You cannot just leave the 4 of them, okay, and they're just there in their rooms and nobody knows what's going on. And if anything happens to them, how would you explain to their parents that, oh, I was trying to, you can't say that.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that and Dowen being an international school, I mean, I don't think bringing in more people to monitor the school should be a difficult thing.
At all.
And I don't think having CCTVs in places where humanly speaking it's impossible to monitor, I don't think those things should be far-fetched for them. So it's still a shock. As a teacher, it's still a shock, and I believe teachers who have my kind of training, I don't think I think they too will be shocked when they heard the news. I mean, you cannot hear that kind of story, and with all the things that should be done, that were not done, you're now wondering. I can't sing. I can't.
I understand.
I can't just wrap my head. Yes, I'm not saying that physical attacks is not possible within a school environment. What I'm saying is, like I said initially, I said that anything could be used as a weapon in a classroom.
True.
Even a pencil, a simple thing as a pencil or a pen could be used as a weapon. So
of course,
you are the one teaching these children. You would have identified the ones that have that tendency towards violence. You would have identified those kind of children. And when you sit and when you know those kind of children, you can easily say, oh, anytime when he's done writing, I can take away the pen from him. In my school, we give pencils to the children and we collect them and we collect it back from them when they are done for the day with school. We collect it back from them. They can come with their own pen, but if as a teacher I identify a child that I know is prone to violence, then I can take certain steps. After having consulted, having spoken to the school management and to the parents of the child, we can come up with something so that this child does not harm another child within the same classroom. So there are a lot of strategies. I cannot exhaust all the strategies that should be used within a school premise, within the school premises. But I think it was a case of well, I cannot say for sure because I do not know the the total details surrounding his death. But I think that if
I don't know.
sorry, can you hear me?
Oh yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I think if the proper child protection policies, were in place, that would never have happened. And if at all it happened, it wouldn't be as severe as a child losing his or her life.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much, Victor. Anurika, thank you so much for still being online. This is a very, very vast conversation, and there's another angle to it, but I am holding myself so strongly not to delve into that conversation right now, because I know that this is not the right time, to have that conversation. Otherwise, it would divert people's attention from the crux of the matter on ground. Anurika, I want to say something.
Yeah, what I want to say, Gloria, is like doing college should know that they failed Sylvester. They failed they failed him because number one is he reported that this boy that he was being tormented by he was being bullied. He reported the case to the school, and the school authority promised to take proper action towards it. I don't know what they did, if they take the steps they promised to take and to protect his life. And number two, they said he played football. What I'm saying is, if he played football, was he cleared by a medical by his doctor that he can play football? Because that's why I was asking for his medical before they admit him in the school. Yes. His medicals that he takes, and did they clear him that he can play football if he's having medical conditions? Because some kids, when you're having medical conditions, like I know my daughter, she have medical conditions, she cannot play contact sports. So did his doctor clear him that he can play football? Number three, when he was really sick and he was down, they have doctors in that school. Why didn't they take him to the hospital, knowing that his parents they're not in Lagos, they're living in Warri, and he's that sick, having pneumonia, and still in that school? Number four, the police. Nigerian Lagos State Police Commissioner should know that they are failing. They failed Sylvester too, because they didn't take proper investigation on these issues.
Of course,
people are coming to talk about how the school and how their kids are being bullied. They are not listening. They're just going by the autopsy result that they are saying, he died a natural death. They failed this boy. They failed Sylvester. If they come out like this is what they're gonna judge on, and they want to dismiss this case, they have failed this boy.
Yes.
The Lagos State Commissioner of Police should know that they have failed. This boy, Sylvester. Then another thing I want to chip in is, okay, the teachers taking care of those children. Okay, we're talking about the cameras, right? If the cameras are not in place, and how many? I don't know the Nigerian system. How many kids can one person take care of, like a teacher? Because they have to have a teacher can only take care of 25 people. Or a teacher can only take care of 30 people in a dormitory.
I think Victor actually has that in the school.
Huh?
I said, Victor, they have that measure in their school.
Okay, so how many people are in that hostel and they are being taken care of by one housemaster? Those are the things they need to look into. I mean, I know they can always open the school. They want to just do business as usual, but they should make sure that no other child, no child will come to school to study and lose his life in doing college. Yes. So my advice to them is, they can open the school anyway because they want to do whatever they want to do, but they should make sure that they take proper precautions, that no life again will be lost in that school. That's what I have to tell them. And they fail. And the Nigerian investigative, the lady that says I'm sorry, Gloria, that I'm saying it here. Dr.
Kemi,
He
yeah.
failed this child too. She failed Sylvester because she, first of all, she came out, she told us that she already did the investigation, and the students opened up to her and told her that the boy drank engine oil. That was what she told us. That the substance that the boy voluntarily decided to take to drink engine oil, and the Lagos State autopsy is not saying anything about the engine oil. So where did she get that information from? And she's saying, oh, they should take this out of social media.
She has said a lot of things.
And she came to Daddy Freak's live and said, oh, she gets her information from what people tell her from sources. Is that investigating journalists in Nigeria?
And that is why attention should not be given to such speculations.
I wrote to Daddy Freeze. I don't know that she should not be coming live whenever they're discussing Sylvester's issue, because she's not helping the issue. Because she never said anything good or to help the case than to talk about herself, how she's going to destroy the case if they bring in the investigation, if they bring her to court, how she's going to attack the case, and how they, accusing the parents. What did they do? Why are they hiding the video? What video are they not hiding? I mean, you're not helping the issue. So she failed Sylvester too.
I heard that part.
So I heard that part. Thank you very much for giving me audience and.
No, thank you so much for your contribution, Anarika. I mean, I'll always say it that thanks for social media, even though social media has its negatives, but the beauty about social media is the conversation continues. Those people who are saying we should stop talking about it, I'm sorry, the moment people stop talking about it and focus on another trend, this case is going to fizzle out. I mean, look at Baba Ijesha case. With the princess Nollywood actress, when the whole thing came up, people were talking about it for at least a few days. And the moment people stopped talking about it, it just fizzled into thin air like that until much later. I think that was last week that we started seeing, the police said this and that happened. And that is not what we want for this case, because this case, there are so many loopholes. There are a lot of things that are fishy in this Sylvester's death. There are a lot of things that are not adding up at all. The hastiness with which the DPP released all those statements and all of that, there's everything fishy about it. The way the case is about to be closed, without even getting to court, there's a lot of things fishy about it. I do not believe the second autopsy report. I think there's a lot of loopholes in it. There's another question of where, because I saw a statement from Sylvester's sister today on her Instagram page. She wrote that the family has no connection with the pathologists that carried out the first autopsy in Warri. So it was actually the police that gave the go-ahead for them to carry out the autopsy. And when they did, they discovered that black substance in his bloodstream. It was the police that actually sent that liquid down to Lagos for, I think, a toxicology test. And till today, they are still waiting for that result. So the question is, why was that result omitted from the second autopsy result? So there's a lot of questions. A lot of things are not really adding up. So I would just urge everybody to please continue, talk about it, keep the conversation alive, continue using the hashtags. Because at the end of the day, even though everybody involved are all minors, except Dowen College itself, justice needs to be served. If the 5 boys are innocent, let it be determined by, proper evidence that they are innocent. If something else is responsible for Sylvester's death, we should be able to find out the proper way and not the manipulative way. Because all what I'm saying is different attempts to manipulate the entire case, to manipulate all the evidences, to manipulate the result. And I mentioned to someone today that my fear is nobody should go and threaten anybody that, oh, don't say anything, keep quiet, because it's typical of what happens in this society. People would either use money to shut people up, or people would either use power to threaten people not to say what they know as the truth. So that is why, for those of us who have voices on different social media platforms, let's play our own part to keep the conversation alive. Dupe, do you have any last words before we round off?
Honestly, what I would have said is what you just said. people are intimidated with so many things, and that's why you cannot really get the fact in Nigeria when you see issues like this. I tell you, those children who witnessed even the beating, their parents will have taken them into custody.
Of course.
Look, don't do this because they're going to get back at you. And we have seen references to people who have actually spoken out and they've eliminated them, or they came, they kidnapped, you just wipe them off the system. Honestly, I think what there's so much to this is the kind of Nigeria system that we have. It's so sad that we belong to a country, I used to say, where life meant nothing to even anybody in custody of power or in the society. There are so many references that makes you sad, you makes your heart bleed when you remember and say, oh, okay, this thing has just gone and gone for life. It's not common, like I used to say, it's not common elsewhere that things like this, of this magnitude, a life getting lost, and the government is even indifferent. For God's sake, where do we start from? We've talked about so many things on this platform today, and what was playing in my mind is, how do we go forward? And the only thing I can say is, be involved as a parent, be involved as a teacher. Let us not manage crisis. I hate managing crisis. I think I've said it also on this platform. Let us be proactive in getting things done. Let us see any danger coming and all of us attacking the danger before it happens.
Yeah.
Honestly, the woman I still give kudos to Deborah in Port Harcourt. That woman won't let go. Even when a lawyer betrayed her, she's still shouting. It takes a woman who have felt the worst thing you can do is to kill me, to go the length that Deborah has gone. And she's still not letting go, even when her own personal lawyer was bought over. So I think this is what we should do as people with kids in school. Let's be part of it. Let's even let them even say, oh, okay, you ask questions too much, or I want to know this much about my child, so that it's so painful that we are talking about a life that is gone. I wish that this case, this boy is still alive, and yet we are investigating it. We can't get him back. So this is what I'm saying about all the much that I've talked about in terms of policy, in terms of processes that people will drive, in terms of somebody talked about police. Who are the policemen? Have you not seen the worst of their performance? The lady who is speaking from US is just talking about this ideal setup where she is. I know what she's talking about. But the point is, we've not started here. Who are the policemen? Even when you have one that is with a conscience, one of the bosses somewhere who have taken something can shut him down. So hold your own child as a parent, so that we've said so long. Hold your child. Be part of everything going on. Don't ignore. Try to build morals into your child. Try to to serve how to be an acceptable adult with a moral values to your child, so that everywhere will be sanitized, and then this kind of thing will not happen again. Thank you very much, Glory. Thank you, Victor, and everyone that has spoken. Honestly, we'll continue to talk about it. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dupe. Thank you so much, Victor.
Thank you so
We're going
much.
to have another conversation because I intend touching up on all areas of this case. I had a conversation with my sister. My sister went to boarding school and she has a lot of stories to tell, and they are not nice ones at all. I'm going to look for how to reach out to more people who have boarding school experiences because the truth about it is there is a psychological clapback of all those sordid experiences from boarding houses. And I mentioned earlier about the dirty tradition of passing down wickedness, evil, just because the older seniors did it to us, we have to do it to the younger students that are coming up. So that is another conversation that needs to be had. Yes, because I don't want to think that whatever happened in Dowen College started with this set of students. A lot of people have come out to talk about, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was in the school, this is what happened to me. even a popular Nigerian singer. She has her own solid experiences as well. She literally said that she hates the school. And one would wonder what happened to you whilst you were in that school that makes you hate school. Hate is a strong word. So there's that conversation to be had. There's also the conversation of the role of parents. And that is why I am trying so hard not to delve into that conversation yet, because we don't want to lose focus. Because there's also the question of what did Sylvester's parents do while Sylvester had been consistently complaining that he was being bullied? Did they take the right action? But if we start having that conversation now, it will, remove everybody's focus from the actual crux of the matter. So these are follow-up conversations that we'll be having on this channel as time goes on, even though we are not the investigators, but at least our own contribution should aid towards something. That's it. Thank you so much, Dupe. Thank you so much, Victor, for joining us, guys. Victor is actually my immediate elder brother. I did not want to say it.
Wow, this is good. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you. Oh man, this is good. Ah, man. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. What a good one.
Oh.
Woo! Okay, that was really sad. Apologies about the break in transmission, guys. I don't know, for some weird reason, my internet just went off. But I'm glad that the internet went off when we were actually done with the conversation. I was about to tell you all that Elijah Victor is Gloria Elijah's brother. He's my immediate elder brother. He's an education enthusiast, if I want to call it that. He is very, very passionate about education, not just education, but also childhood trainings, grooming kids. He's very, very passionate about what he does. And that's why you see him making out 2 hours of his time to have this conversation with us. As at this time of the day, he should be taking private lessons for some kids that he normally works with. And so, Victor Elijah, if you're watching this right now, thank you so much, big brother. Okay, that's quite funny. Okay, thank you so much for taking out time off your busy schedules to grace this channel and to, prefer your own solutions to how such, I don't know, such mishaps could repeat themselves. Really grateful. Thank you so much, Dupe Omiwade. I can see that you're in the office. Oh my God, I hope you're resting. And just thank you so much for joining today's conversation. Anurika, thank you so much for aiding us with your perspective on today's conversation. Thank you so much, Walls. It was a pleasure having you grace this channel again. Thank you so much. Who was the other person? Mickey. Thank you so much, Mickey, for joining us. Thank you so much, Free, both of you, for helping us with your own perspective. It was really a pleasure having you all here. That said, I will see you all. So that's it. I'll see you all on another episode of Frankly Speaking with Gloria Elijah. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. I will see you all on another video by Monday. Bye.